The Green River, a serene, peaceful waterway winding through Washington state. But beneath its calm surface lies a history of darkness. A history stained with blood, sorrow, and the silent whispers of victims who never returned. What secrets does this river hide? And who was the man behind the mask of normalcy? Tonight, we delve deep into the story of the Green River Killer, a man who shattered lives and forever changed the face of criminal investigations. In the 1980s and 1990s, a shadow fell over the quiet towns near the Green River. Over a span of 2 decades, more than 49 women went missing. Most of them were young, vulnerable, marginalized. Their bodies were found in the woods, near the water, discarded like garbage. For years, their deaths remained unsolved, leaving families broken and communities terrified. Gary Ridgway, an unassuming man, lived among them. A devoted father, husband, and worker who would later confess to the unthinkable. His confession would bring an end to one of the longest and most chilling serial killer cases in history. But the scars would remain, haunting the community, law enforcement, and the families left behind. Each victim had a story. Young women, often struggling with life, be it addiction, homelessness, or the challenges of life on the margins. They were daughters, sisters, mothers full of potential, hopes, and dreams. But all of them were lured into a deadly trap set by a man they could never have suspected. The Green River Killer's methods were calculated. He preyed on those who seemed invisible, those whom society often overlooked. He would meet them, promise them safety, but instead, he offered only death. And with each victim, his power grew, as did the horror unfolding in the dark corners of the Pacific Northwest in those early years. Law enforcement was at a disadvantage. Without the advanced forensic technology we have today, they struggled to find connections between the victims. The case seemed insurmountable. With each missing woman, hope dwindled and fear grew. But there were those who refused to give up. Detectives, forensic experts, and even psychological profilers worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle. But with so many victims and so few clues, it felt like chasing shadows. How do you catch a killer who knows exactly how to cover his tracks? How do you hunt someone who blends into society so seamlessly? Gary Ridgway was the last person anyone would have suspected. On the outside, he was a normal man, a dedicated worker, a husband, and a father. But beneath this ordinary exterior lay a predator, one who would eventually confess to killing 49 women, and perhaps many more. Ridgway's life was marked by red flags from an early age. A troubled childhood, strained relationships, and an inability to connect with the world around him. His marriage was marred by infidelity, and his dark desires began to take root. But even as he lived an outwardly normal life, the darkness inside him grew, and the women of the Green River became his victims. The breakthrough came not from a witness or a lucky hunch, but through the power of science. Advances in forensic technology, particularly DNA evidence, finally linked Ridgway to the murders. For the first time in years, there was a clear path forward. In 2001, Ridgway was arrested. The man who had eluded justice for so long was finally in custody. The public's reaction was one of shock, disbelief, and a strange sense of relief. How had this unremarkable man committed such horrific acts? And how had the police managed to catch him after so many years? Gary Ridgway's confession was as cold and clinical as his actions. He spoke of the killings without remorse, as if they were nothing more than a matter of routine. His lack of empathy, his twisted rationale, "I killed them," sent shivers down the spine of anyone who heard his words. There was no remorse in his voice, no acknowledgement of the suffering he caused. To him, They were simply objects, nothing more than discarded pieces of trash. The trial was a grueling process. Victim impact statements filled the courtroom, each one a heart-wrenching account of how a life had been shattered. Ridgway, however, remained unmoved, a man of few words, his stoic demeanor hiding the monster inside. Gary Ridgway was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But the death penalty was avoided, an outcome that left many feeling conflicted. Ridgway would spend his days behind bars, but for the families of the victims, no sentence could ever undo the damage he had done. The Green River Killer case became a benchmark for serial killer investigations, pushing law enforcement to adopt new methods and technologies. DNA evidence, once a mere dream, became the key to solving cold cases and preventing future crimes. Despite the justice served, the wounds remain. The families of the victims continue to live with the pain of their loss, but their resilience shines through. Their fight for remembrance ensures that these women will never be forgotten. As the Green River flows quietly, we are left with questions. What makes a man like Ridgway? Is evil born, or is it nurtured? And perhaps the most unsettling question, how many more could be out there, hidden behind the masks of normalcy? Though the Green River has calmed, its waters will forever echo the cries of its victims. Their stories may have been cut short, but their legacy endures, a testament to the power of resilience and the search for justice. Thank you for watching. If you found this story haunting and powerful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Join us next time as we continue exploring the darkest corners of human nature.